Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Shift Your Mindset Summit. Today we have with us Lisa Pezik. Am I saying your last name properly? I should have asked you before. Is it Pezik?
Close. I always say pretend there's an extra E in there. It's Pezik.
Pezik. Okay, what is that? What is the origins?
Polish. My
Oh,
husband's side's Polish.
okay.
Yes.
My dad's side is Polish, so we've got that whole heritage as well.
There you go. Good food. Good
Oh
food.
yes, yummy, yummy. Especially the is it pierogies or is there a name
Yes.
to it? Okay.
Pierogies, cabbage rolls.
Uh-huh. Yummy.
Good.
So
I digress.
exactly. Let's just talk about that. Let's just talk about food. So today we're talking about running a conscious marriage and business why I asked you on today is because you work with your husband and you had a really good blog post of how to manage your relationship and making sure that I think it's extra challenging when you work together. For one, you both work from home, so that's a huge challenge.
Yes.
But there's so many kind of parallels to anyone's life of how do you work with your partner. Because we've talked a lot on the summit about having a certain mindset for ourselves, and then we've talked about it for our kids, but we haven't addressed that partner piece. So that's why I wanted to have you on to talk to you today.
Yeah.
And now you're a business strategist, a global author, a worldwide speaker. Can you tell us just a bit about yourself? Give me a nice summary.
Yeah. And, it's interesting. Like 10, 15 years ago, I never would have thought my life would have ever gone down this path. I grew up the smallest of the smallest of the small town in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Everyone knew everyone. And there was a lot of, you were told what to do, where to go, what path, who you date, where you'd go to school, what profession you have. It was like that blue collar
all lined up for you.
Yeah. And it was just like that blue collar working mentality. Like you keep your head down, you do what you're told, but like this is the path that you will take.
Okay.
And for me, and growing up in my household, it was follow that path or there's going to be a serious battle.
Oh, no.
And I would lose that battle every time when it came to parent-child kind of relationship. So it led me down this path of going to school to be a nurse. I graduated. I was an ICU nurse. I was working in Pennsylvania. And on paper, it looked great. Great paying job, great profession, serving the world. I was so misaligned from who I wanted to be, where I wanted to live. Just my life wasn't my life. I was living my parents' dream, and I was living a path that was supposed to be laid out for me to make life easier.
Right.
And it's like the mothership is going this way of where I'm supposed to go in my life. And I was like radically going the different way in that path. So I went on a vacation in the Dominican with my girlfriends. And that's where I met my husband. Okay. He was there with his single guy friends. Nice. And that's how he was from Canada. So again, not going there, not looking for love, not looking for a relationship. I was actually on the plane telling my girlfriend, I'm never going to get married.
Never going to meet anyone. Yeah.
Right? And then there he was. And we met. We hit it off. We had 4 beautiful days together. We started a long distance relationship.
Oh, boy.
And it came to the time where one of us was going to have to move.
Okay.
I didn't quite love my path in life. So I decided I was going to come up.
Here's a good opportunity. Yeah.
Go. So again, if you ever would have told me I would have married someone from another country, moved to another country, started a family, we had a little guy, we have a little guy now, he's almost 5, little guy, we're almost 6 now, actually, I lied, my God, time flies.
That happened.
Anymore, my God, time flies, right? It's going to be 6. had a kiddo. And then I kind of started, after I had him, I really started to question, like, what do I want in my life? Because it got to the point again where on paper, everything looked fantastic. Beautiful marriage, beautiful husband, moved my life, but was resilient, and all this stuff. People were like, oh my God, you're so amazing. And I was so frustrated with my life.
Okay.
So many things that people were like, you should be so thankful that you have. And I was, but then it made me feel guilty to want something more, because I already had an amazing life. But after looking at him, I can remember one day my husband looking at me and just going, like, you're mad all the time.
Okay.
And I was never like that. I was this bubbly,
anger. Okay.
Yeah, like I was bubbly, happy, fun to be around. And he's like, you're just,
what's going on?
I don't even know what you're mad at some days. And I'm like, I don't even know what I'm mad at some days. And I never put together that it was just, I wasn't living my life and I wasn't listening to my own voice. And what happened was, one day I was pulling out of a parking lot from my nurse educator. I was a nurse educator traveling around teaching nurses. And my guy was at daycare, and I was pulling out of the parking lot. And I was already having anxiety about leaving him at daycare, because I was like, I should be a stay-at-home mom, or I should be caring for him. Someone else shouldn't be caring for my child. So like another frustration in my head. So I'm already
been through that. Yeah.
Right? I'm already in this crazy headspace. And my phone starts dinging and dinging and dinging and dinging, text message after text message after text message. And my first thought was, oh my God, something has happened.
Like, emergency.
Something terrible's happened.
Okay.
Like, I better pull over and I better check this out. And I pulled over and I pulled out my phone, and it was my mom, who I hadn't spoken to in a long time.
Okay.
Because if you can imagine how my parents felt of me moving to Canada, marrying a Canadian, leaving them behind.
You
I had this side hustle.
Or they interpreted it like that. Yeah.
They interpreted that I abandoned my country, my family, like everything. And at the time, I had this side hustle business in personal training, nutrition counseling, health and fitness, because I always loved that, in addition to being a nurse. And they couldn't understand why I would ever want to do anything outside of nursing. So we hadn't talked for some time. I had started to pull away because the conversations weren't positive. And the text messages said, Lisa, we haven't spoken in a long time. Lisa, I want you to know a few things. You are heartless. You are soulless. You're never going to be successful. You're not a good mother. I don't approve of you. I don't approve of your life. And you're no longer my daughter. And
crushing.
I threw down that phone, and I didn't even look up yet. I slammed the car in drive. I was holding the steering wheel and I was shaking.
Right.
And the tears started coming down. And even though I was in the car by myself, I heard something say stop.
Okay.
And I slammed on my brakes. And just as I looked up, because I was at an intersection, this massive transport truck wiped right past me.
Wow. Near-death experience. Oh, that's so
And that was and my first thought, my actual first thought, and this is where everyone's like, I know it was your son and it was your husband. My first thought was me. I was like, oh my God, I could have been wiped out.
Right.
Am I doing what I am meant to do on this planet?
Uh-huh.
Then I thought, oh my God, I have a husband. I have a son. I have a little boy who needs his mama. I have the love of my life, who my soulmate, who I'm supposed to be with for the rest of my life. Holy crap.
Yeah. I have an obligation to them and myself.
I have the obligation to figure out me so that everything else is going to fall into place.
Right.
So then I really started thinking about, what do I love? And it was when I decided to take my health and fitness business online, because I was reaching people all across the world. I was coaching people back in Pennsylvania and people from the US. I was coaching people in Canada. I was coaching people from Australia and London and people all over. And it was through successful online courses and memberships and all of that I had set up. And when I really had to get to the root of that, it was, I wanted people to heal, and I wanted people to be heard, and I wanted people helping them in their health and fitness. But then I thought, I have a concept. I know how to be successful online. I need to help more people be successful, whether it's your business, whether it's running your household, whether it's like whatever you need to be the CEO and boss of.
Let's get it right. Yeah. Right.
And that was where I realized that I had to start playing bigger, got into coaching with my husband because he does all the digital like technology stuff.
Cool.
And my son started to get to be like a school age child, like to go to school. And I was like, I don't want to miss those moments of like school drop off and school pickup and school recital. And I want to dictate my schedule. Yeah. Right. So that's where I've transitioned out of health and fitness coaching. Now it's everything business strategy, online business courses, lead generation.
Cool.
But I coach with my husband. So it's the true, like you said, like we parent together, we work together, we live together. We are always together.
Yes. So let's get into that because I don't know how you do it.
Yeah. And, a big thing for me that I never realized that changed the game for our relationship was alone time. Alone. Me.
So how do you manage that? Yeah. And that applies perfectly with anyone, whether they work with their partner or not. It's like, the alone time is so essential for anyone. So
I remember when I was first saying, I really want to be there for my family. Like, cause you can get into that workaholic. Like that's originally when I started as an entrepreneur too. Like I was just like getting into that, like work.
Right.
And I'm not spending time for my family. So people would say, okay, well, how are you going to fix that? And I would say, okay, well, I'm going to have present time with my son. I'm going to have present time with my husband. And they're like, and what about you? Oh yeah. I need time, just me.
I'm important too.
Right? So what I do is there is a local boxing studio that I love. I go take boxing classes and it's a 15-minute walk. It's like a 3-minute drive, but if I take my time, it's like a 10 to 15-minute walk.
Nice.
And every day I walk to that studio, walk there, take the class, walk home.
Awesome.
No, I shouldn't say no. Sometimes I listen to a podcast. Sometimes I listen to music. Like today, for example, I just walked with like nothing, like not attached to anything.
Which is kind of a gift on its own. It's like whenever you just say, you know what, I'm going to totally unplug and just be there with my thoughts.
Yes. And it was beautiful to hear the birds chirping and like just life happening around.
You notice houses that you've walked past a gazillion times. You're like, I have never seen that house before.
And people walking by me, because you're not hooked up to technology, they're like, hello, good morning. I'm like saying hi, looking at the dogs walking by me. Like it was a totally different experience. So I found my little hook of where I like hook my me time onto, meaning that it's hooked onto when I go to the boxing studio. So find somewhere in your day where you can hook on some me time. Like maybe it's like you got to get up and the very first thing you got to do is like have the kids' lunches, packed for school or get their, uniforms put out or their clothing put out. It's like maybe you wake up 10 minutes earlier and you have a cup of coffee to yourself, quiet, just you. And then you go into like making the lunches and or whatever. It's like, before I go on an interview like this, It's like I'll meditate for 5 or 10 minutes to get myself in the right headspace to be able to present and give the best of me. And that's like, nobody talk to me, my little like 5-10 minute little like break throughout the day. Right. So as much as we want to enjoy life, the juicy life that we have with those ones that we love, you got to have just you alone time to think, breathe, dance to Beyonce, like whatever you meditate, whatever like fills your cup. And I think most women and moms and people were like, we think like, oh my God, self-care is like, I don't have time to go to the gym. I don't have time to do this. We think it has to be this like spa day or this like, right. You know, it could be watching a funny Jimmy Fallon video for 5 minutes on YouTube and laughing. Like it could be whatever fills your cup for however long you need, but it could just be these little bites. And I find that when I take those moments for me, then I can not be as angry, not be as frustrated, show up for my family, have a better connection, because I wasn't caretaking or serving somebody else. I was serving myself.
Right. And would you say the difference is that you're intentional and you're like, this is me time, rather than just, you know, watching something in the background, but you're saying like, this is for me?
This is for me. And I believe, and again, sometimes I feel like we got to like warm people up to this idea. I do believe it's like distraction free. Like don't put in the headphones, don't listen to the technology, because that is stimulating your brain. That is stimulating things in you. It's like, go for a walk for 5 minutes around the block and get a breather, or, you know, just go lie down for 5 minutes if you can and rest your eyes on the couch and take some quiet time for yourself. Like whatever it is, very intentional that you are resting and resetting. Because I know like all day long, my brain is thinking, planning, preparing, analyzing, prepping.
Going over that to-do list. Yeah.
Whether it's like business meetings or groceries or like, you know, the yellow shirt day at school, like whatever's going on in our family, it's like I'm planning and prepping. But the other thing my husband and I have is we have this agreement that there isn't any like, that's the female job, that's the male job, you're the mom, you're the this, like, because we both work together, parent together, play together, we're like, the playing field's even here. Like we're both bringing in income, parenting together. And we kind of just have this agreement that whatever needs to get done, whatever one of us can like get to it first. Gets done. Like if there's dishes in the sink and I'm on a conference call and he's not, he'll go do the dishes. Or if he's away at a business meeting and something needs to happen and I don't have something going on, I'll go ahead and do that. But I think what got us there, because it was not like that in the beginning.
Right.
It was very like, well, I did this, I did the dishes, do this, I do this, you do this, I'm doing more, you're not, you know, like figuring out that it was a lot of, I wouldn't let him help.
Oh, really? You wanted to do it all, or you wanted to show that you could do it all. I think that's something we get caught up in, is like, I want to be that perfect mom. I want to be able to do everything and let you rest. But okay, so tell us that journey.
100%. And he didn't know that I was struggling with that. Like, I need to be the perfect mom. I need to have the perfect dinner on the table. I need to have X, Y, and Z. Like, he's so, again, like sometimes we get so mad. Like even something as simple as like, I will leave something on the stairs that like the next person that goes up the stairs should take it upstairs, and he'll just walk past it. And I'm like, I put the laundry
basket. Come on, how did you miss that? Yeah.
He'll honestly just be like, I didn't even see it. I wasn't even looking. So I'm going like, frick, man, like, you know, I'm always the one like assuming, running these stories and assuming in my head.
Yeah. And then you start an argument about it and they're like, I didn't even notice.
Yeah. So instead of just going, hey, honey, next time you go up the stairs, can you take the laundry basket up? And again, we feel like maybe we shouldn't have to say that. But it's just that open communication so that assumption doesn't happen. Or like, hey honey, I got a crazy day of meetings tomorrow. Do you think you could, pick up a little bit with, X, Y, and Z going on? Or can you make breakfast tomorrow morning? Or, like just always having those open lines of communication,
Right.
I think is the way like we've been able to do as much as we can do together.
Right.
And not being afraid to ask for help when either one of us is feeling overwhelmed or feeling frustrated or feeling worried about something. It's like, I got you. Like, we got each other. We just need to communicate. We can't assume that the other person, I can't assume that he sees, to me, I'm like, hello, the basket, right? But I can't assume that he sees it. Just like I can't assume that he knows what's going on with me or I know what's going on with him. So the more we can talk about it, but again, you have to have the space and the time to talk about it. So that was something new that we built in, where Friday, so like Monday morning and Friday, we start our day, like we start our Monday morning with like a little meeting. And then like Friday, we like recap what happened in the week, and just to make sure.
That's really smart.
Because if we don't, because again, we kept saying like, we need to make time, we need to talk, we need to this, we need to that. But until we like scheduled it and blocked it,
yeah,
I was going one way and he was going the other way.
That's so smart. You have to make a time to check in together and be like, okay, let's look at our calendar. I've got a really busy day this day. Can you step up in this area? And yeah, okay, that's key.
Yeah. And I think where our son comes in there, boundaries like with him as well. So I never get mad because some people say like when you're doing like content marketing, like when you're like on Facebook and doing a live video, or you're like doing a podcast or doing a blog, like in the beginning, he would just like ramble on up and come on screen and start asking me questions. And that never bothered me because I never had that whole, like, I have to be perfect. Like, that's like real life, right? But then we kind of realized that it's not fair. Well, I shouldn't say it's not fair. That's just the way it's coming out for me. That's what we used to say. It's not fair to have to try to be mom and businesswoman at the same time.
That's true.
Because nobody wins in that scenario.
That's true.
He's feeling the frustration of me, even though I'm like, haha, okay, honey, I know you're so, okay, let me get you a juice bar or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, I'll get you in a few minutes. And right.
Yeah, he's kind of like, what? Huh? I don't know. Why are you not paying attention? Like, he's still feeling that. And then I'm like frustrated and having all these things going on in my head.
And distracted too. Yeah. You're like, what was I talking about? I'm thinking about you. I'm thinking about my business. And yeah,
that it's like when we make it very clear, like mom and dad, even though we're at home, like even on the weekend, if we have to like do something, we're working, and it's like we don't have an office to have the door shut, but it's like we pretend like, buddy, the door, like if you see mommy in front of the computer talking to somebody, you can't come and interrupt. Like mommy is working. It's like the office door is shut. And now he gets it when I'm like, mommy's working, because then he knows that when I'm done, it's time with him. Like,
right.
So when I'm there with him, I am 100% with him. I'm not checking email. I'm not trying to answer somebody. I'm not talking to my husband about work. We are like with him. Good. 110%. But when I'm working, I'm 110% working, because that was the curse. When I know we were talking about this before the interview, when in Canada we get that year mat leave, and then after that year, Eric and I both work from home, and we were like, oh, we can keep Oliver home with us. Like, we'll be able to work, and we'll be able to watch him, and we'll be able to like manage it all, and he'll just like sit quietly and play while we. And it's like, no,
doesn't work that way. Yeah,
delusional thinking. And we learned that the hard way, that again, it's like it was a lose-lose, because we weren't fully showing up in our business and we weren't fully showing up for him. We were trying to do both, and we were sucking at both.
Right.
That it was like, when I'm mom, I'm mom. When I'm working. When it's family, it's family. And again, so many people are like, I don't want to be that scheduled and that regimented and that, but it all just runs together. And it's a recipe for disaster when you don't have those things blocked off, because then that lack of, and that I'm feeling not enough, and the guilt and the shame and the judgment and the comparison and all of that, we run all these stories in our head that aren't true. And it's really just, and the overwhelm sets in, and you throw your hands up in the air and you cry and you want to quit and you feel like a failure at everything, but it's not. It's just, you're taking on more than is humanly possible, and you have to know kind of when, what is what. And again, it just, for me, it always comes back to that open communication. Like, my little guy's not going to know that I'm working unless I say to him, hey buddy, like, mommy's on a call. I can't talk to you for this next hour. You're going to be hanging out with dad. Don't come up in the next hour. But after that hour, I'll come down. We can build Lego. We can do whatever you want to do. Kind of thing, right?
Say like, in an hour from now, let's do this together. What do you want to work on? And like, okay. Yeah. So communication with both your partner and with your son or your kids. Yes. And then that time blocking is just so key to success. And like, so when do you put it in a calendar, or do you just really say, okay, I need to work on this, or how does that work?
I do. I'm an old fashioned nerdy pen and paper calendar kind of person.
Okay.
And I literally highlight. I highlight, pink is like time with my husband. I know it's cheesy, like pink love, like a pink heart is like pink highlighter is time with my husband.
Love it.
Green is like business, like money making, impact making, that conscious business. Like, I think for me, when it comes up like conscious business, it's like being aware of your surroundings, being aware of your impact on people, being aware of yourself and how you're showing up. That's what that conscious business means for me. But it's like, the green is like, business building time. Like, the blue is like fun for me. So it's like, that's like my me time, or like my boxing time.
Okay.
So I have it.
I did too. Good.
I have it color coded. I'm like so nerdy when it comes to that. I know why? Because you know what I used to do? I used to write it in my calendar, but then I would negotiate.
You wouldn't do it. Yeah.
Do it.
Like, this is more important right now. I'm going to work on that. Okay.
When I highlight that sucker, I can't write over the highlighter.
Okay.
Like, for me, like, if the slot is physically it's like
taken up. Yeah.
We don't write checks anymore, but like back in the day when you would write the check and then you would write the line so that nobody could write there. That's like what it was for me. Like, it was like, no, this is blocked off. Like, this is done. It's done. I can't put anything in there. I mean, barring an emergency again, obviously there needs to be.
Of course. Yeah.
Things that come up in life, because we aren't robots. We do need to be flexible and see that things happen, things change. But I found that I was constantly negotiating the alone time and the me time and the fitness time and the recovery time for everybody else's. I was the first to take away the me time, and that's what we do. We take our own self.
Yeah, that's the first thing that goes. Yeah.
And that's the key to everything. That is the key to everything. So it's like, you want to be a better partner, you got to take care of you. You want to be a better mom, you got to take care of you. And I think we know this, but we don't always catch ourselves when we negotiate that, and we shouldn't. Yeah. When we give away, we don't always
apply it. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't. No, it's like I studied under Brendan Burchard. A lot of people know of him, the personal development guy, and he always says common sense isn't always common practice. And it's like so true, right? It's like we know what we should do, but do we do it?
Yeah.
And that was, and that was it. And it's like, that ripple effect of, if you're not taking time for yourself, you show up crabbier or more frustrated. And then it's like that ripples. I know, like, I feel it. Like, sometimes my energy or Eric's energy or Oliver's energy, we check each other as a family, and we're like, hey. Hey,
you need some me time. Let's.
What's this vibe you're throwing out here? Like, what's up with you? because it affects everyone, that ripple effect,
So true.
And then the last like cool thing that we do is a non-negotiable at the dinner table for dinner. Even if we're like out to dinner, even if we're out to eat, or we're like grabbing something after his like soccer practice or whatever, our little guy's soccer practice, we always go around and say my favorite part of the day.
Nice. I
And
did that as a kid too. Yeah.
yeah, and sometimes like my husband I try to get out of it. We're like, today's
No, not today.
I didn't have a favorite part today. We're like, no, you gotta find something good or something.
Yeah.
Smile.
It's all about like being grateful, which we've talked about in some of the other interviews, but that's like that idea is to make it a part of the family time. So all ages are saying, okay, well, what am I grateful for? What am I appreciative, or what was a good part of today? Yeah.
And sometimes it's like our little guy will be like, my favorite part of today, Mom, was when you like kicked the soccer ball with me for 2 minutes after school in the backyard. Like sometimes it's like the coolest thing could have happened, but like what we pick as our favorite part of the day, we're like, oh, like
Yeah.
it really shows that it is those small little interactions that you have with your family or with people that really make the world a difference.
Yeah.
You know?
I love that. And it's so true, because I do that with my girls now. Like we often say, what are 3 things that happened today, or to get them to talk about school a little bit. Well, not my 2-year-old, she doesn't talk. But the 4-year-old, like, what are 3 things that happened, or what is your favorite part of the day? And yeah, we could have gone to some big event that day, and she'll say something like, oh, I loved that you put peaches in my oatmeal or something. It's like, oh, okay, well, that didn't even occur to me, but okay, that works. So.
Right. And those are the days where you're feeling so bad about like when you did lose your cool, or like you did do something that you weren't proud of and you knew you had to get better at, like you recognize, because again, we're not perfect. That I don't want to say that life is magical and beautiful and unicorns and butterflies. Like my husband and I fight. I lose my temper with my little guy. Like it happens, right?
Sure.
When they say those things, you're like,
Exactly. It's so heartwarming, and yeah, and it really brings you down to earth, like what is important. Oh yeah, it's those little things, it's the little like chunks of time that we spend one-on-one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and there are days when Eric and I just have the craziest. There are days when I say, we communicate and we're like, are you gonna handle this? Am I gonna handle this? There are days when sometimes we both look at each other and we're just like, pizza for dinner. You want to call? You want me to call? Like
again, we've both been too busy. Yeah.
We get stuck in this worry again of like, I can never feed my kids pizza. Like it's okay. Like you gave your kids McDonald's one day, as long as you don't make it.
Everyone's okay,
right? Yeah. Like again, it's like I think it's also one of the worst things Eric and I did was try to push through it. Like even on those days when we're like, I'm so tired, I'm so exhausted. And it's like, well, one of us needs to make dinner. I'll go do it. Like, and you push through it.
Right.
And again, it's like, you're not honoring where you're at.
Yeah.
It's like, I'd look at him and go, I don't want to cook. And he'd go, I don't want to cook. And we're like, okay, well, where are we ordering from? We're not going to cook tonight.
Right, because then neither one of you is resentful and be like, well, I had to do it last time, so yeah.
Yeah, like it's just that really, that consciousness for me is really just getting clear about like who you are and what you need, and speaking the truth. Like I'm real tired, I don't want to make dinner, as opposed to like, what are we having for dinner? And in your head, you're like, I'm real tired, I don't want to make dinner. I don't know, I guess I could go get out the pasta maker and start making fresh noodles. Like, you know what I mean? Like, do you want to do that? No! So don't. Like, be honest and truthful, kind of where you're at. And the more that you can speak your truth, the more things are going to start to transform in your marriage. Again, it's all about you in your marriage, in your relationship. The more you can speak your truth and what you need and ask for help or whatever it is, the more you get the realness of each other. And when you see the realness of each other, that's when you can really go, okay, now I know what to do. And now I know how to help. Now I know what you need because I know exactly what's going on with you. Right?
Right.
You know, people can't help you if they don't know. If you're putting on a front that everything's fine and things are not fine, people can't help you because they think it's like the basket. They walk right past it. They think things are fine. As
Totally. Because
yeah,
we often we feel like we're showing our emotions, which we are, but no one can read what you're actually thinking and what's going on. So yeah, we have all about the communication.
We give our partners way too much credit. We think they are telepathic and know exactly what we're thinking and knowing and doing. And then vice versa.
Or you're like, why wouldn't you at least ask me about it? And they're like, well, you were in a bad mood. I didn't want to ask you anything. So
totally. And it's, you know, your past triggers run those stories for you of that seamless, like, you know, when you want them to ask about your day and maybe they're like off doing something else. And then you're like, oh my God, they don't care about me. They don't care about this. They don't care about that. And we run all these like stories when in actuality, it's like maybe they had a hard day too. And they're taking their 5 minutes to like sit down and recoup and breathe.
mm-hmm.
So again, it's like, it goes back to that, like the 4 agreements, if you've ever read that book. And one of those agreements is like, don't make assumptions. And I know I was like because I was always worried about being that people pleaser and being that perfectionist growing up, doing what I was told, being a good girl.
Yeah.
It's like I ran all these, I already had the story mapped out in my head of what was going on when that was so far from the truth of, you know, like it was Eric's turn to do the dishes and I come home from work and the dishes are still, or I come in from a meeting and the dishes are still in the sink. And I'm like, wow, great. Another thing I have to do, you know, he's making my life harder. When in all actuality, he had an awful day and he had back to back meetings and he didn't have a chance to get to it.
So true.
So I'm creating a story in my head instead of getting curious and going, hey, why are the dishes still in the sink? Yeah. Oh, I had a brutal day. I haven't even
day. Yeah.
A brutal day too. You know? It's like that communication.
Let's let the dishes go for a little bit and just like recap. Yeah. Awesome.
And even if your paths are so far apart from each other, you still got to communicate. Like your partner doesn't always have to champion everything that you do. But they have to understand why it matters to you. And again, that goes back to that community. Like there are times when I'm over here and Eric's over here. We don't agree on everything. We don't see the same on everything.
For sure.
We don't have the same visions. But as long as we understand why it's important or why that person feels the way they feel, then we can certainly still agree to disagree, but still be there by their side, championing them. Helping them forward.
Very important. It's like that respect piece. It's like, I don't quite understand or agree. I mean, I don't quite agree, but I understand or I respect what you think and what you're feeling. And then that's how you really communicate properly. So, yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Totally.
Well, this has been a great conversation. Unfortunately, we have to end it. Tell us about the free gift that you have for the audience.
Yes. So I love this free gift. It's called 15 P's to convert your leads. Now, if you are not in business, you're like, what the hell is a lead? Why do I care about this? I'm not making an offer and converting nothing with nobody with nothing. So if you have a business and you are making an offer of someone to come and work with you and inviting them to work with you, you relate it to your business. It is a script that you plug in your information, and it's the way that you have a conscious, connected, authentic, heart-centered, not scammy, not salesy, not way to be icky about offering someone to come and work with you. Okay. If you're not in a business, you don't have a business, doesn't even apply to that. If you are in a job and you want to get a raise, you could plug in how you would go to your boss.
Okay.
And how you would proposition why you should be given more money, given a raise, given more vacation.
Cool.
It's like a persuasion, a heart-centered persuasion kind of script. Or if it's something as simple as like, you need your kiddo to stop eating French fries and you want them to eat broccoli, you can plug in your information. You relate it to that and you plug it in. It's like how to have the conversation to persuade someone to do something in a heart-centered, authentic, not icky kind of way.
Love that.
And that's
we have sales conversations throughout the day, every day, everyone.
Yes.
It's just, we always interpret a sales conversation as like, hey, buy this product. But really, we're always trying to convince someone to do something that we hope that they'll follow. So, yeah.
Yeah, whether you know that's the right path for them and you're trying to persuade them to do that, or you really want to help somebody. So you're like, here's what you should do, and I want to help you with that. So you're right. We are, whether we realize it or not, we are selling people to listen to us, believe in us, champion us, work with us, choose what we choose. Like, we are doing that all day long.
Oh, yes.
Yes, that helps with those conversations.
Cool. I'll definitely be checking that out.
Cool.
And do you have maybe a positive affirmation or a mantra just to leave our audience with for the day?
I love that quote about, it's not our darkness that we are afraid of, it is our light. And it's like a really long quote by Marianne Williamson.
Okay.
But I love it because I really think about that as women, we are so powerful. We are so knowing. We are so, I mean, you think even the connection, Mother Earth, Mother Ocean, like we are so connected as people. But the only way that happens is when we start to speak our truth and stand in our power and know how powerful and purposeful and amazing that we are. And that's the light. So even when life gets dark and you're in a tough time and your marriage is not the way it should be and your kid isn't listening and they're having troubles or something's going on in your life, know that it's either the light in you or it's the light in others that you're connected to that are going to pull you through. That you're truly never, ever, 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 ever alone on this planet.
Love that. That's amazing.
Thank you.
That's a great way for us to end things and to think about it for the rest of the day. So thank you. That's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Great conversation. Okay, bye, Lisa.
Thank you. Bye.